Morning, everybody. Welcome to our celebration of Shivaratri. We will start with an offering to Shiva by group chanting of Om Namah Shivaya 108 times. So do please join in. That'll be followed by talks by Swaminathan, Vishwanathan, and Gayatriprana. And then please stay back and get a share of the sweets and savories that have been offered to Shiva. So now we'll have the group chanting. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 So now I invite Swaminathan to come and give his talk. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Shivaratri and good morning to Gayatriprana Mataji, Shivaratri Mataji, Mataji, and everyone gathered here at this auspicious occasion. Today we are celebrating Mahashivaratri, which is a Hindu festival that honors Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. It is celebrated once a year and is different from the monthly celebration of Shivaratri. Mahashivaratri is one of the biggest festivals of Hindu religion and is observed on day 14 of the Falgun month of the Hindu calendar that usually falls during either February or March. This year, Mahashivaratri fell on 8th of March, just a couple of days ago. That curiously enough was also International Women's Day. And why is this important? Because of Shiva's endearing manifestation as Ardhanarishwar. Ardhanarishwara symbolizes male and female principles that cannot be separated. It conveys the unity of opposites in the universe. The male half stands for Purusha and the female half Prakriti. Ardhanarishwara harmonizes the two conflicting ways of life. The spiritual way of the ascetic as represented by Shiva and the materialistic way of the householder symbolized by Parvati. It conveys that Shiva and Shakti are one and the same. The Ardhanarishwara represents a constructive and generative power. This fusion of Shiva and Shakti represents her as substrate and he as substance. Shiva is static, Shakti is dynamic and creative. He is one, she is many. He is infinite and she renders the infinite into finite. He is formless and she renders the formless into myriad forms. But both are one. Shiva and Shakti exist in Nirmala Turiya state, the stainless purity. Shiva is being and Shakti is becoming. There are a few origin story for Mahashivaratri celebrations. The first one being in the Shiva Purana. This day, Mahashivaratri, is in the honor of Lord Shiva, who destroyed the ego and battle of supremacy between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma. However, another story claims that Lord Shiva got married to Goddess Parvati or Shakti on the night of Mahashivaratri, and hence this night was in honor of the union of Shiva and Shakti or Purusha and Prakriti. Yet another Hindu text also claims that Mahashivaratri is the night when Lord Shiva performed the cosmic dance of creation, preservation, and destruction. Take any story you wish, but Mahashivaratri festival is celebrated across the country with immense happiness, enthusiasm, night-long vigil, and fasting. Devotees celebrate this day by staying awake the whole night to worship Lord Shiva, perform Abhishekam, Rudrabhishekam, and chant various mantras. Goddess Parvati, Shiva's consort, is worshipped too alongside Lord Shiva on the fasting day of Mahashivaratri. Now turning our attention to our very own Shiva, Sri Ramakrishna, there are many occasions in the life of Thakur that connect him with Lord Shiva. In the Shiva Purana, the Lord Shiva manifested as a column of light when Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu were each proclaiming himself as the greatest among the deities. This particular manifestation of Lord Shiva is known as Lingodbhava Murti. Similarly, in Kamarpukur, Chandramani, the mother of Sri Ramakrishna, saw a flood of light emanate from the Shivalinga and entered her body, and she felt that she was with child. Thus, Sri Ramakrishna was born in this age as the Lingodbhava, the light of Shiva. Also, Sri Ramakrishna was born 3 days after Shivaratri, on 18th of February 1836, almost 188 years ago, a few minutes just before the sunrise. Just as at the birth of the incarnation of this age, a light spread all over the world. So even today, the light of knowledge is spreading to every corner of the world, dispelling the hordes of darkness in the form of ignorance. As soon as the baby Krishna was born on the 18th of February, 1836, Dhani, the midwife, placed him on the floor to attend to the mother. On turning her attention back to the child, she was surprised to find that he had somehow rolled into the fireplace and was lying there all covered with ashes, like Lord Shiva himself. If our goal is God, the ashes symbolizes the turning away from or burning off the sensual, a renunciation of the worldly to attain the spiritual. Describing Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother said that renunciation was the jewel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna performed various sadhanas and reaffirmed the validity of each. But he realized Lord Shiva without any effort, because verily he was Lord Shiva. When Gadadhar, Sri Ramakrishna's childhood name was 9, when he was 9, he was asked to play the role of Lord Shiva in a dramatic performance in the household of Pine, one of the rich landlords in Bengal. On the night of Shivaratri, that evening, Gadadhar was roughly around 9 years old, so this must have been 1845. That evening, news reached the village that the boy who was to originally perform and play Shiva had become ill, and that the director could not find a substitute. The village council met to select someone who could play the part, and they decided on Gadadhar, our own Sri Ramakrishna. Gadadhar mounted the stage absent-mindedly, without looking in any direction, slowly walked to the middle of the dais and stood there motionless, with a heavenly, indrawn, unblinking gaze and a sweet smile on the corner of his lips. As he was adorned as Lord Shiva, he soared into a divine consciousness, and the devotees themselves were transported, as it were, to the very abode of Lord Shiva. Sri Ramakrishna remained in that ecstatic state for 3 days. In yet another story of Shiva's life, if one reads the Samudra Manthan episode, Lord Shiva took in the poison that emanated from the churning of the ocean by the gods, the Samudra Manthan, and by the gods and demons during the Samudra Manthan to obtain the nectar of immortality. At the end of his earthly life, Sri Ramakrishna had throat cancer. One viewpoint is that it was a result of Sri Ramakrishna's swallowing the poison of the karmas of the millions of struggling souls who are seeking his shelter. Both drank the poison and kept it in the throat for the welfare of the world. Finally, I will conclude by these utterances of Sri Ramakrishna. Jiva is Shiva, and Shiva is Jiva. In other words, we ordinary beings are really Shiva, but ignorant and bound. Our goal in life should be to reclaim our Shivahood. Thank you.
Thank you, Swaminathan, for the short speech. Thank you. Shambho Mahesha Karunamaya Shulapane Gauri Pate Pashupate Pashupashanashin Kashi Pate Karunaya Jagadegate Gastvam Hamsi Pasi Vidadhasi Maheshwarosi. O auspicious one, the great ruler, O compassionate one, the wielder of the trident, the Lord of Gauri and of the creatures, the destroyer of all bondage of the Jivas, the Lord of Varanasi, out of your mercy, you project, maintain, and destroy the world. You are the great ruler. For the Hindu, the supreme reality, God, is nameless, formless, pure radiance, existence, consciousness, bliss, truth. Adoration of such an abstract entity is beyond the scope of vast majority of humanity. For as Gita says, we are embodied beings. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Kleshodhika tarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakta hi gedur dukkham dehavadhir avapyate. Obstacles facing those devoted to the impersonal absolute are far greater. For the way of an unclear ideal, that's the absolute, is difficult for the embodied being, the body-centered person, to understand and follow. We are all embodied beings. As long as we have got consciousness of the body, we are embodied beings. So the impersonal absolute is too hard to understand and follow. The great teachers of Vedanta knew this, and to overcome that difficulty, they have given us the personal God along with impersonal aspect. The personal God of Hinduism, you have to remember, is not a personality or an individual. It's merely a particular divine attribute of the impersonal personal being, just with a particular name and form. Each name and form is equally valid and important. There is no great or superior or inferior. All are equally valid and important. Swami Vivekananda says, he, the personal God, is the highest reading of the impersonal that can be reached by the human intellect. The personal God is the highest reading of the impersonal that can be reached by the human intellect. And what else is the universe but various readings of the absolute? The whole universe is nothing but the absolute, various readings. Readings are different. So such personal forms as Shiva, Vishnu, Divine Mother, we have given them form. For our sake, the sages have given some particular form to help us. The Shiva is both the impersonal absolute reality, as the Vedas say, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Impersonal absolute reality, there's no form. Again, he's a personal God, whom we can love, we can approach, we can interact with. To show this idea of the impersonal personal being, Shiva is usually represented by the lingam, a small pillar-like shaped structure. If you look at the picture, usually the idols of Vishnu or Divine Mother, mostly we see a human form, most of the time. I won't say all the time, but most of the time we see a human form. But Shiva, no. In any temple you go, Shiva is worshipped as lingam. Anthropomorphic form of Shiva, people may have pictures at home, or even statues or carved sculpture, but not in the temples. It's always lingam. This lingam can be natural formed, what they call swayambhu, or without any rock formation, natural rock formation. as we have in some of the temples like Kedar, in the Kedarnath in the Himalayas, or Kedar temple in Varanasi. They're just rock formation. They're not even the proper lingam as you see, just a formation of the rock. Or it can be even ice. It's Amarnath. It's ice formed like a lingam, like a pillar. Or it can be made of, sculpted out of wood, rock, metal, or even sand. Now in Rameshwaram, the Shivalingam is made up of sand. You will wonder, how can the sand be made? Well, the story goes that when they were returning from Sri Lanka after the killing of Ravana, Rama wanted to worship Shiva when they reached the coast of India. And Hanuman went to bring a Shivalingam. There's auspicious time when the Shivalingam has to be installed. He hasn't, at the auspicious time, the moment has come, Hanuman hasn't returned with the Shivalingam. So what to do? You cannot miss the auspicious moment. So Mother Sita collected sand from the beach and made a Shivalingam. That Shivalingam is even now worshipped in Rameshwaram. Of course, they cover it with a cover so that you can't see. Otherwise, of course, sand will fall off. That way, it is still, all the worship is done on the cover. Or sometimes the whole mountain is considered as the emblem of a Shivalinga. For example, again, Kedar, the Mount Kedar, Mount Kailas is considered as a whole Shivalinga. Though we say Kailas is the abode of Lord Shiva, still Kailas also is considered as the whole mountain is considered as Shivalingam. Kedar is considered as Shivalingam. In Tamil Nadu, Arunachalam, in Tiruvannamalai, the whole mountain is considered as the Shivalingam. So that shows Shiva is impersonal, personal aspect, God. It's not just a personal God. And what does lingam actually means? Lingam means characteristic. Brahman, the supreme reality, is without any characteristic or attributes. That is why Shiva is shown as in the lingam form. Linga also means that into which all creatures merge at the time of dissolution. The final dissolution, everything is absorbed back into that. Liyate asmi, that is lingam, into which it dissolves. Shiva means auspiciousness. Shiva also means one in whom the whole creation sleeps after the dissolution. Now, in the Hindu idea, it's not creation. Though we say Brahma is the creator, the world is created and all that, but actually it is projection. It's projected. It's what that projection is what we call creation. And then it exists for some time, and then it's absorbed back. And after a period of dissolution, absorbed or involution, it's again projected out. So during Shiva is that into which everything sleeps at the time of dissolution. So he is the great God. And Shivalingam is a symbol of that great God, Mahadeva or Devadeva, of the great God of this universe, who is the source of all auspiciousness. Two other names for Shiva is Shambhu and Shankara. Shambhu means who is the source of auspiciousness, and Shankara, who does what is auspicious. But look at Shiva. Everything around him is inauspicious. He covers himself with the ashes from the funeral pyre. We ordinary people avoid it. If you go to a funeral, you have to come back and take bath. It's because you are polluted. But Shiva meditates or dances in the cremation ground or in some remote mountains, and he smears himself with the ashes from the funeral pyre. And his companions are ghosts and goblins. and his adornment, snakes. All things, what wonderful cosmetic he has got. And his cup for drinking, he has got a wonderful teacup, a skull. So everything about him is inauspicious evil. But in fact, he is outwardly evil like this, but he is infinite good to the devotees. What does it show us? That everything and everybody that human society casts out and shuns as wicked, evil, give shelter. Nobody wants ghosts and goblins. Nobody, people avoid cremation ground, funeral pyre. Shiva is taking everything. He is taking everything and protecting. So that gives us comfort. However much a person is wicked, evil, or worthless in the eyes of the world, Shiva is always ready to protect us, always ready to accept us. If we just turn to him, that's important. If we just turn to him, he will receive us, he accept us, protect us, and give us shelter. All you have to do is approach him with love, sincerity, and trust. When we think of Shiva, the image that comes to our mind is Shiva seated in meditation. We have got a Shiva seated in meditation in front of our altar, or Shiva in dancing posture. That is here we have both we have got here. These are the two ideas we have got mainly of Shiva. Now, what is Shiva meditating on? Why is Shiva meditating? We meditate usually to control our mind, to get God realization. But what is Shiva meditating on? We are under the control of the nature. We want freedom from that. So we try to meditate and get freedom. But Shiva is not under the control of anything. The whole nature is under his control. Swami Vivekananda says, meditation is the power which enables us to resist this slavery to nature. Meditation is the power which enables us to resist the slavery to nature. We are all under the control of nature. So meditation helps us. But Shiva is not under the control of anything. He is eternally free. So why is he meditating on? What is he meditating on? He is meditating on his own divine glory. He is immersed in the bliss of himself, Atma Rama, enjoying the bliss of himself. Shiva has got Prakriti under his control. So he's meditating on his own glory. And look at the ideal of the picture of Shiva in meditation. Calm, serene, all energies withdrawn. Everything is under his control. All the energy is withdrawn. Mind is calm and silent like the rippless surface of the lake. Shiva is the ideal of the yogis. Yogishwara. He is renunciation incarnate. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have any possession. As we said earlier, he lives in the mountain caves, top of the mountain, or in the cremation ground. He has no home. And what are his clothes? No fancy clothes, no designer clothes, labels, nothing. Either he wears tiger skin or elephant skin. That's all. And his abode is supposed to be on Mount Kailas, where it is extremely cold. There he remains absorbed in his own glory. And he does not desire anything. He doesn't want anything. Not that he doesn't have and he is craving for things. No, he doesn't want anything. So this is a supreme ideal for those who want to lead a life of renunciation. That's why he's called Yogishwara, the Lord of the yogis. At the same time, he is ready to give riches to people, devotees who pray for it. Not that he won't give. He is ready to grant anything. He is easily pleased. That's why another name he has got, Ashutosha, who is easily pleased. Shiva is very easily pleased. He doesn't need elaborate rituals, worship, no. What do we do for mainly on Shiva Puja? We pour water. Water is the, let's say, least expensive thing. He's not asking you to spend a lot of money on his worship. Water and a few leaves. But one special leaf is there. His willow leaf is his favorite. If you give that, he's very happy. Just give leaves and water. He's happy. That's what Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Patram Pushpam Halam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachadi. Tadaham Bhaktyupahritam Asnami Prayatatmana. But Sri Krishna puts two conditions. You give me Patram leaf, Pushpam flower, Halam fruit, or Toyam water. Any of this. But he has given one condition. Bhaktya Prayachadi, with devotion. That's the most difficult thing to get. We have to have devotion. If you offer this with devotion, that devoted offering I accept, Sri Krishna says. The same with whether it is Sri Krishna or Lord Shiva, the same. Whatever you give with devotion, he accepts. Another name for Shiva is Yogeshwara, the Lord of Yoga. It says that Shiva is the one who taught yoga for the first time to humanity. The legend says that Brahma, the creator, created the whole universe. Shiva looked around and found that this creation is full of suffering, misery, disease, death, with just a sprinkling of happiness and pleasure, just to keep the souls deluded and make them come back again and again into this cycle of birth and death. He was so sad to see this. What sort of creation is this? Isn't there any way to get out of this? He thought about it, pondered over it, and came up with the solution of yoga. You practice yoga. Yoga, what is yoga means? Union. Union with the supreme reality. The union of the individual soul with the supreme soul. We can see much in comparatively recent times. Lord Buddha, he wept seeing the suffering. And that is why he renounced and became an ascetic, just to find how to relieve the suffering of humanity. And Shiva taught the yoga to the sages, and sage Patanjali wrote it down, the Yoga Sutras, aphorisms, and gave it to humanity. So Shiva is Yogeshwara, the Lord of Yoga. And what is? Through ignorance, we have forgotten that our real nature is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. We are not this limited psychophysical organism. We think that we are so and so, born on such and such a date, in such and such a place. But our real nature we have forgotten. And because of that, we suffer. And it is this suffering, this ignorance, that Shiva wants to destroy. When we say Shiva is the destroyer of the Hindu Trinity, Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the sustainer, and Shiva is the destroyer. What is he destroying? He is destroying this ignorance. In the words of Sister Nivedita, one desire and one alone has he, to destroy the ignorance of the souls and let light come. That's the only desire Lord Shiva has, to destroy our ignorance. He's not going to gain anything by destroying our ignorance. out of his infinite compassion, he wants to destroy our ignorance and make us free. It is not that once you are established in yoga, you won't have any suffering, misery. No. As long as you've got a human body, suffering and misery is there. It's part and parcel of the whole packet. You cannot choose only the happiness and pleasure. No, it comes together. But we won't be overpowered by that. If you are established in yoga, you won't be overpowered, that you won't be swept away by the suffering and misery. As Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a child holding on the pillar and whirling round and round. As long as the hold is there, the child won't fall down. As long as we have got the hold on God, whatever sufferings, misery, pain comes, we will feel it, but we will bounce back. The pendulum will come back to the center quicker. The ultimate goal of spiritual life is realization of one's identity with the Supreme Brahman. This goal can be achieved through worship of any form of personal God, but not that it should be one particular form. Any form you worship, you will achieve that goal. Or any other methods are there. We have got the 4 yogas. As Swami Vivekananda says, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest that divinity by controlling nature, external and internal. And how are we to control the and external and internal nature and manifest the divinity? Swamiji says, do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. By one or more or all of this. You can choose anyone. It's up to us. They are not saying, oh, you should follow only this particular path. No. You can choose anyone which is suitable to you, which is suitable to, compatible with our aptitudes. Choose it. By one or more or all of this and be free. That's the goal of life. Be free. So self-realization happens when the bonds are broken. And when do the bonds break? When ignorance is gone. Ignorance of our true divine nature, that our Shivahood. And ignorance goes when wisdom dawns. And how does wisdom comes? Through the grace of God. Now, how are we to get the grace of God? It's a big question. Devotional scriptures say, just love him. You all know how to love. Not that somebody has to teach you how to love. Love is there in everybody. We all know. But we have turned our love to external things. Turn the love towards God. When we love someone dearly, all our actions, words, thoughts have only one aim. How to please that person. If we don't want to displease the person, how to please that person? It is that way that we have to love God. Everything that we do, we utter, we think, should be to please God. In the Shivananda Lahiri, Shankaracharya says, Manaste padabje nivasadu vaja stotra phanito karocha abhyarchayam stutirapi kathagarnana vidho tavadhyane buddhir nayana yugalam murti vibhave paragranthan kairva paramashiva jane paramataha. O Lord, supreme doer of good to all worlds, may my mind be occupied with your lotus feet, my speech with your praise, my hands with your worship, my ears with sacred accounts about you, my intellect with your meditation, and my eyes with the glory of your form. See, the whole body, mind, speech, everything connected to God. Mind occupied with thinking about the God's feet, that's offering, thinking about God. Speech with praises of God. Hands with worship, ears hearing about the accounts of God, intellect with meditation, and eyes seeing the form of God. Then by which organ would I study books unconnected with you? All my organs are concentrated on you. So what is it? How can I spend time on other things? There is nothing. There's no, all my organs are, body, mind is concentrated on you. That's the way we have to love God. We see similar injunctions by Jesus Christ, and also in the Old Testament. It's when they say, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. You have to love God. That's the way to love God. And through practice, we can do this. We may think, how can I? I've got so many things to do. How can I think of God all the time? You people can say, because you don't have to go out to work, you don't have to look after family. You can say all that. We have got family to look after. We have to go to office. You think that we can sit and think of God all the time? They are not saying. What did Sri Ramakrishna say? Hold on to God with one hand and do all your duties with the other. And when your duties are over, then hold on to God with both hands. As long as you have got your duties in the world, do the duties with one hand, but hold on to God with one hand. Otherwise, you'll be swept away. You don't have anything to hold on. The current of the world will come and take you away. With one hand you hold and do all the duties. And through practice, it can be done. It's not that it's impossible. No, it can be done through practice. The devotional scriptures say, before that, now we think about praying to God, realizing God, loving God. So Swami Vivekananda says, there are two ideas of God in our scriptures, the personal and the impersonal. The idea of the personal God is that he is omnipresent. He is the omnipresent creator, preserver, and destroyer of everything, the eternal father and mother of the universe, but one who is eternally separate from us, and from all souls. And liberation consists in coming near him and living in him. Liberation, what is meant by liberation? Coming near him and living in him, coming near God and living in God. So the devotional scriptures say about 4 levels of attainment of the Lord. In Shankaracharya and the Shivananda Lahiri speaks about these 4. The first one is Sarupya, similarity of form with God. You attain God and you have the similarity in appearance. You have got the form. You have got the form of God in your mind, and as you progress on the path of devotion, you take that form of God. That's the first level, Sarupya. And what is the means for that? Ritualistic worship. Then the second, closeness with God by singing God's praises. Samipya, you come close to God. The first one is Sarupya, looking like God. In some of the stories we can hear how the attendants of Lord Vishnu looks just like Vishnu. Attendants of Shiva usually has shown as goblins, but if your devotee go near, he can look like Shiva. That's Sarupya. Second one is Samipya, closeness. You live close to God, and that you attain through chanting, singing praises of God. The third one is residence in God's celestial plane. and by associating and talking with God's devotees. That is Salokya. You reach the abode of God. Because there are different planes of existence. We are on this mortal plane. There are different levels of existence, and you reach a higher level where you see this particular form of your chosen deity, the form that you like. And there you associate. By associating with God's devotees, that means you are talking only about divine things, holy things, spiritual things, not gossiping. Associating and talking with God's devotees, you reach that stage, Salokya, God's celestial abode. And finally, the highest, Sayujya, oneness with God. Oneness with God by meditating on his form comprising the whole living and non-living world as the all-pervading spirit. That, is there any difference between that and the state reached by the path of knowledge? I am that Brahman. The same goal is, the final goal is the same. Sayujya, one, you are realizing your unity with God. By meditating on his form, on God's form comprising the whole of the living and non-living beings. Meditating on God as all-pervading spirit, you become one with him. That's the highest Sayujya. So the 4 stages are there. Samipya, first is form, Sarupya, Samipya, closeness. Third is Salokya, in the abode of God. And finally, Sayujya, oneness with God. We say usually, Bhakti, God is different, devotee is separate, individual soul is separate, God is separate. But in the final stage, there's no difference, become one with God. So this is the same as the goal of the path of knowledge. The individual soul becomes one with Paramatma. The Jivatma gets merged in the Paramatma. But the limited human being mind cannot understand the glory, cannot fathom the glory of God. We try to say all these things. Sri Ramakrishna says, trying to describe God is like trying to describe the ocean to a person who has never seen ocean. How will you describe the ocean? Ocean is ocean. But please tell me, how is ocean? I have never seen ocean. Oh, the waves, the sound. Does it mean anything? You say the waves and the sound, the person who has never seen the ocean, doesn't mean anything. Our description of God is just like that. So in the Shiva Mahimna Stotram, the poet, the devotee writes, Asita Giri Samam Syat Kajjalam Sindhu Padre Surataru Vari Shakha Lekhani Patramurvi Likhati Yadi Grihitva Sarada Sarvakalam Tadapi Tava Gunana Misha Param Nayati. Oh Lord, if the blue mountain be the ink, you have to remember, early days, they write with ink and pen, not they just type on the computer. If the blue mountain be the ink, the ocean, the ink pot, the branch of the heavenly tree called Parijata be the pen, the earth, the writing leaf. And by taking these, if goddess of learning herself writes for eternity, even then the limit of thy virtue will not be reached. So how can ordinary human mind grasp it? It can never be completed. This glory cannot be described, finished. We see almost similar statement in the Quran. Surprisingly, we can see that. Quran says, I say that if the sea were ink with which to write the words of my Lord, the sea would surely be consumed before his words were complete. Even if there were a second sea, it too would be consumed and the task would still not be finished. Such is the glory of God. That is why Sri Krishna said in the Gita, after describing the divine glories, Arjuna wanted to know the divine glories. So asked him to describe. And Sri Krishna said, it's too vast, but I'll give you a glimpse. A few samples I'll give you. And then he goes on describing. And in the end, he said, what's the use of knowing all this? Supporting this mighty universe with one single fragment of myself, I remain unchanged and transcendent. The whole universe I support with a small fragment of myself. But that doesn't affect me. I remain unchanged and transcendent. So how can we, with our little intellect, understand God or measure? But we claim that we know God and we say, my God is greater than your God. As so small is that God is something so small that you can understand. If God cannot be reached through, if we said God can be realized only through his grace, then what's the point of doing all these spiritual practices? If we cannot realize God through spiritual practices, why should we do spiritual practices at all? You say again and again, God can be realized only through his grace. Well, we have to do spiritual practices to become grace worthy, to receive God's grace. We have to do spiritual practices. It's like emptying the heart. Now that at present our heart is full of the idea that I am so and so, I'm such and such a big person, I'm so important. All I is full. Our mind and heart is full with that I. There is no place for grace, God's grace to come. So we do spiritual practices just to become grace worthy, remove all this ignorance from our heart. We say Lord Shiva remains separate, away from the world, uninvolved. That does not mean that he is indifferent. As we said earlier, seeing the suffering, he thought and brought out the teaching of yoga. Again, whenever people are in difficulty, you seek his help. He's always ready to come and help us. As Swaminathan already mentioned in the churning of the Milky Ocean. That's the story from a legend from the epics. So many things came up when they churned the Milky Ocean. All the good things, gods and demons appropriated. There's the elephant, the divine horse, the divine tree, Kaparijata, the divine cow, everything came, everybody took all those things. Then the poison came. See, you churn your mind. You do spiritual practices, churn the mind. First, for a short time, you are so happy, you are feeling so blissful, peaceful, doing your meditation, and so happy. And then comes the poison. Then comes all the disturbance, the mental torture, because you are churning the subconscious. All that poison comes up. And everybody runs off. What to do? The poison is going to destroy the whole world. They all went and sought the help of Shiva. Please save us. He was seated in meditation. He was away from the sea. He was not involved in this churning of the ocean, Milky Ocean. He was seated in his meditation, absorbed. But when they called for his help, sought his help, he came up, took the poison and just drank it. Because, as Shankaracharya says, if you leave it out, the world will be destroyed. And when you say drank it, Not that it went to his stomach, it remained in his throat. And the explanation Shankaracharya gives is quite interesting. He says, did you keep it in the throat? Because if it goes to the stomach, the whole universe is contained within in his stomach. It will be destroyed. Is that why you kept it on the throat? Outside, it will destroy the universe, manifest universe. Inside, it will destroy the unmanifest part. Is that why you kept it on the throat? Of course, that story, we will say, oh, Parvati held his throat because the poison may kill him. No, it's remained in the throat and became an ornament to him. He's called the blue throated. The poison gave him the blue color, Nilakantha. But there is another aspect to it. We know people all ran away and left the poison for him. So it's something which is really wicked and bad thing that they have done. But he is not showing it off. He has kept it hidden in his throat. And he has got the garland of snakes around. So nobody will see his blue throat. But whereas the crescent moon that came up, he has put on his forehead to show to the whole world. So what is the lesson that Shiva is telling us to do? If somebody does something bad to you, wicked, harm you, just keep quiet. Don't have to publish it. If something you got is going to harm others, keep it hidden. But if somebody does something good, then tell it to everybody. Proclaim, show it off. The so and such a person has done this to me. Wonderful thing. That's why if you look at the bad part, wicked part, the fault of others, what happens? Our mind get tainted. So instead we look at the good side, then our mind gets purified. We get elevated. That's why Holy Mother gave the advice. If you want peace of mind, don't look at the fault of others. So this is one idea that Shiva is giving us through his form, that if you want to live in this world happily, wisely, then don't look at the fault of others. Bad things people do. Through ignorance they do. Put up with it. Don't have to speak about it. But any good thing, project it, show it. That is one lesson that we can learn from the form of Shiva. And he's always there to help us. As I said earlier, he's Ashutosha, easily pleased. Just pray to him, worship him, just give him some water. He's always there to help us. There are so many stories how Shiva protects us, helps us. Just one more story from in the Puranas. There was a sage, Mrikanda. When we say sages, they are all householders. They are not ascetics, they are householders. This sage, Mrikanda, didn't have children. So he prayed to Lord Shiva. And Shiva appeared before him and gave him a choice. What do you want? He said, I would like to have a son, a child. Well, I'll give you a choice. You can have one son, brilliant, highly spiritual, but short-lived, 16 years of age, or you can have just an ordinary, mediocre one with a long life. The father chose the first. He wanted a highly spiritual son. Though short-lived doesn't matter. So the child was born. Because he was the son of sage Mrikanda, he was called Markandeya. And the child grew up, studied all these scriptures, everything, highly spiritual. As the 16th birthday coming closer, the parents are getting more and more sad. So the child noticed, the young man noticed it and asked, what's the matter? First they tried to avoid nothing. Then in the end they had to tell. This is what Shiva has said. 16th, your life is only up to age 16. And now 16, you're 16, going to be 16 soon, so that you will be dying soon. He said, doesn't matter. We have only few days more. Let me pray to Shiva. So he made a Shiva lingam and started worshipping. Now, on the appointed day, or on the 16th day, for his birthday, it's time for him to depart. The Lord of Death and his attendants, his spiritual glory was so great that they could not approach him. So they went back and reported, no, he's too glorious to approach, for us to approach. So Lord Yama himself, Lord of Death himself came and told him, now it's time for you to go. He's worshipping Shiva. It's time for you to go. He said, let me finish worship. Foolish boy, don't you know that death never waits for anybody? You are asking me to wait. No, death never waits for anybody. So what did he do? Markandeya, he held on to the Shiva lingam. And Yama, the god of death, he's not going to go back empty-handed. So they say he put his noose and take the soul away. And the noose, because he was holding on to Shiva lingam, the noose fell onto Shiva lingam and around Markandeya. And as he pulled, Shiva came out of the Shiva lingam in the human form, because it's insulting him. And he defeated or thrust with his trident to the god of death to the ground. So Shiva has got another name, Kala, death of death. Shiva is the death of death. When we say Shiva is death of death, know that the body won't die. The body will die because that's the natural. Body is created, it will die. But the soul will never die. Shiva is Kala. And they say Markandeya is Chiranjeevi. That means he is still there, alive, but not on the physical body, on the subtle body. So all these great souls, they are there in the subtle body. When we pray to him, the Lord, then we may be able to see those subtle beings. This I'll stop. Thank you.
So now we invite you to stay back and get a share of the sweets and savories. Just a few announcements. We've got the yoga class this Thursday. We've got the fortnightly Bhagavad Gita discussion led by Gayatriprana on Friday night. There's Sri Ramakrishna's birthday celebration. On Tuesday is the actual birthday. So as usual in the Sharada Tapovan, it'll be celebrated in the evening. You're welcome to attend there. It's from 6:30 p.m. And there'll be a reading by Gayatriprana. Next Sunday, we've got the public celebration of Sri Ramakrishna's birthday. There will be talks by Uma Srinivasan and Sri Dharapranaji, and we hope there'll be a bit of live music. So we do hope you can join us for that, and it will conclude with lunch. So thanks for coming today, and stay back and have some sweets and service.